I think that's closed, not opening.
Closing. Oh my God, what's going on with me? Okay, please open up your cameras. We will love to see all of your faces. Thank you very much. Okay, we will start it now. Give me a second. Okay. So welcome everyone to IOMUN 9 closing ceremony. Today on the agenda, we have the closing remarks from our co-president now. Then we do not have closing remarks from the director. We have acknowledgement of the committee chairs and then the keynote speaker. Then we have the award ceremony, closing remarks from Secretary General, which is me, and meme award ceremony, and that's it. So now we will hear from our co-president, Nao Abe.
Okay, thank you, Michal. Hi, everyone. I'm Naho Abe. I'm the co-president of IOMUN. I'm extremely happy to have seen every delegate here shine in the past, I think, 10 or 8 hours. In all of the committees, I was able to observe, passion, talent, and growth from every single person present here. And when I started MUN 4 years ago, I remember being a huge mess, being clueless for at least the first 4 or 5 conferences, and I was too scared to talk, too confused to write a draft resolution, and so on. And I eventually learned how MUN works, but it was a really long process. And just from the few sessions we had today, I saw a lot of growth from the delegates, especially in the dissect committee, which is specifically for beginners. And it was so much more than what I was able to achieve in my first 5 conferences. Of course, a lot of delegates, as the head of application team, which had the job of sending out emails, I received a lot of emails saying that they're nervous and that they might not be able to attend because they're so anxious about it. I know that they were very worried about it, but as the sessions went on, the debate became more and more lively, and crisis updates brought promotion along with high quality discussions. And impressive resolutions were passed, and overall, I'm extremely satisfied with how this conference turned out. And a little bit more about myself is that I joined IOMUN just about a year ago because a girl named Luz, who now studies in France at a college, she's a former student of my school in Mexico, SF. She wanted me to join IOMUN, and without really knowing what it is, I joined, and I never imagined how involved I would become in this community. It was such a global and wholesome community. I'm grateful that I was given this amazing opportunity to become part of one of the best MUN communities out there. And I'm so happy today that we have gotten delegates who are now part of the larger MUN family. I cannot wait to see you guys in future IOMUN conferences and IOMUN society meetings. Last, I want to thank everyone, every member of IOMUN who contributed in creating this amazing conference, from the Secretary, Michal, who did an amazing job, the chairs, the delegates, IOM application team members, and everyone else. Couldn't have done this without you guys. So thank you so much. And again, I hope to see everyone in the future, either as a delegate or even as part of a secretariat team. Thank you.
Thank you so much now. Okay. So now we will look at our committee chairs. For dissect, we have Jacqueline Caron, the head chair, Karin Sabrina, and Yaniv Becker, who came out as a surprising sub-chair. UNHCR, we had Alexandra Antica, the head chair, Jasmine Jespray, and Alexa Rogers. I'm really hoping that I'm pronouncing all of your names correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. Okay, and for the IPC, we had Lavanya Singal, the head chair, Monster McCoy, and Victor Bujelil. I'm sorry for salvaging all of your names. Okay, now we will hear from our speaker, John Vlasto. Yeah.
Okay, you ready for me now?
Yeah, we are.
Cool, okay. My name is John Vlasto. I understand I've got like 10 minutes to speak and then take questions. Is that about right?
15 minutes, yeah.
15 minutes, okay. So I haven't got a very long talk. I'm very happy to engage in questions and answers. So Onkar introduced me to this event and he asked me to speak about democracy without borders and the Young World Federalists. So that's where I'll start. And then I'll come on to a question that's puzzling me right now. So be happy to get some feedback on that question when we get there. So Democracy Without Borders is a civil society organization whose primary campaign is for a UN Parliamentary Assembly. And as I understand it, that's an idea you've already been introduced to today. I believe my colleague Camilla from Argentina was speaking on UNPA earlier and on the modeling work she's done on that. So Democracy Without Borders is the civil society organization who acts as secretariat for that campaign. That campaign is their primary campaign. They have another campaign for a World Citizens Initiative, and that would enable people to put forward proposals on issues of global concern. And then any proposal that reached a threshold of support would then be put onto the agenda of the UN General Assembly or the Security Council. It's modeled on the European Citizens Initiative, a very similar idea. These two campaigns, the United Nations Parliamentary Assembly and the World Citizens Initiative, have been combined with a third, which is for setting up a high-level champion of civil society within the UN, a UN civil society envoy. So those three ideas have been combined into a campaign for inclusive global governance, which is called We the Peoples, and you can find We the Peoples at wethepeoples.org. And that combined campaign was launched in May of this year, and supporters include Greenpeace, the Nature Conservancy, Avaz, ActionAid, Open Society Foundations. There's a couple in Mexico. There's over 180 other civil society organizations all signed up to this initiative. So Google wethepeoples.org, you'll find it there. So that's Democracy Without Borders. UNPA is its primary campaign, and that is currently being promoted through the wethepeoples.org. Young World Federalists started off just a couple of years ago. Onkar, who introduced me to this event, works with the Young World Federalists very closely. I'm an advisor to the Young World Federalists because I don't qualify as young. They advocate democratic world federalism, but they're agnostic about the route for getting there. So, for example, a UN Parliamentary Assembly is one route, but other routes to world federation include uniting the democracies, which is kind of a fashionable idea at the moment. Integrating the regions, so Europe, African Union, Latin America, first integrate the regions and then build from there to world federation. Or moving directly to charter reform, which some people view as a very dangerous step to take now, but others advocate it as a way to get to world federation quickly. So there's many routes to world federation. The Young World Federalists are building support for world federation as a goal, welcoming supporters of all routes for getting there. But they're looking primarily, as the name suggests, for support amongst the young. So while the old World Federalists might have newsletters, the Young World Federalists operate on Discord. So that's Democracy Without Borders and the Young World Federalists and their links to the UN Parliamentary Assembly campaign. If you like, I could take questions at this point, or I could continue on to the question I want to throw out. Would you like me to take questions? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You can continue.
Okay, very good. All right, so here's a question that's puzzling me very much at the moment. So I'm sharing with you my current thinking on these topics, and if anyone has any good ideas on it, I would love to hear them. So I'm going to COP26 in 3 weeks' time. That's the big climate conference that's being held in the UK this year. Now, climate shows more strongly than anything else that we urgently need to find a way to make decisions at the global level for the good of humanity. And we've known that for over 30 years. The UN Framework Convention on Climate Change was set up over 30 years ago. Immediately we knew we needed to cut carbon emissions, and yet they keep going up. This is evidence of failing to make rational decisions at the global level. And why is that? Well, it's not the science. We're on code red from the scientists, as we all know. It's not for lack of technology. We have the solutions we need. And it's not the economics, because the sooner we act, the cheaper it's going to be. It's the politics. Our economy has globalized, our impact on the environment is globalized, but our politics remain stubbornly and even increasingly national. And as we've seen over the past 30 years, you can't solve global problems with national sovereignty. 193 sovereign nations negotiating lowest common denominator compromises at COP is no way to make decisions in the common interest of humanity. And we all know this. So that brings me to my question, which is, given we're, everyone knows this problem, what can we do about it? And I'll quote you. I got a short quote from a very recent academic paper, came out a few days ago, which is going to be presented at COP. Quote from that paper on this issue of how we create more effective decision-making at the global level. Such efforts need to strike the right balance between proposals that are so ambitious as to have negligible chances of being seriously considered, and those that are seen to be more politically feasible, but fail to find meaningful solutions to urgent contemporary problems. In other words, how do we get the big powers to shift their mindset from Cold War or capitalist competition to working cooperatively to look after our planetary home? And that's the question for everyone. I don't know the answer. I know bits of answers. UN Parliamentary Assembly might be a bit of the answer, but that could be charged with being so ambitious as to have negligible chance of being considered. One thing I do think would make a big difference, and that's if everyone who's listening to this, everyone who's part of this event, all over the world, all the people who understand that we need to run our planet for humanity and not as some sort of competition or fight between nations, if all those people came together to bang our national leaders' heads together and demand they make decisions for the common good, then change is possible. If people all over the world are demanding, political leaders get a license to move. So that's my concluding comment. It's an urge to action from all of you to start pushing this agenda. So now I'm open to any questions or comments or thoughts on everything I presented. Democracy Without Borders, Young World Federalists, UNPA, or what are we going to do to get America, Russia, China, and the rest to work together? Thank you.
Yes, Omkar, you can speak.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that speech, sir. I had a question. This world is composed of various countries with different forms of governments. We have constitutional monarchies, we have absolute monarchies, we have theocratic states, and so on. So how do we exactly reconcile all of them into a single form of government, or what's the way ahead?
Well, that's kind of the question I was putting out at the end of my talk. So you're turning it back on me. I mean, there's a contrast with Europe here, because Europe is often cited as a model for how we can build more effective global governance. But the difference is that Europe is built on democracies. You have to be a democracy to join the club. And a lot of people will argue that you can't build global governance until we're all democratic. And who knows, if and when China will become democratic. It depends a little bit what you mean by global governance. The climate, the planet doesn't care. The planet doesn't care. If global politics is difficult, the planet doesn't care. Before the Second World War, a lot of people were saying, you know, we just had a world war. It wasn't much fun. Why don't we not have another world war? And yet we did. We had a Second World War, despite everybody knowing it was a bad idea. That's the dynamic between people across the world. So I genuinely think it's quite possible we're going to sleepwalk into a climate catastrophe. And that's what I'm advocating to try to avoid. But it could happen. On the other hand, we have the Conference of the Parties meetings happening. Governments all over the world know exactly how urgent it is when we start to make better decisions for the planet. So we have a very powerful catalyst, and whether it'll be powerful enough, I have no idea. But there is a catalyst, and you need catalysts for change like this. And the climate and the environmental issues more broadly are a very powerful catalyst for change. So in the UN Parliamentary Assembly proposal, there's a 100-page book on the details of it. It's a very detailed proposal. The idea is to get some form of advisory body up and running, acknowledging that there are many different political systems around the world, with the idea being that the people of each country have some form of representation within this advisory body. And it would be set up initially as advisory because it wouldn't be fully democratic. Therefore, it wouldn't be fully accountable. But this is a sort of balance between the politically achievable and the useful in practice sort of organization that we need to construct. So China isn't going to sit down with America if they feel democracy is being shoved down their throat. And America isn't going to sit down with China if they feel they have to do what the Chinese say. And yet both of them have a compelling interest to avoid a climate catastrophe. We all have that compelling interest. Nobody wins if we pass some tipping points and things accelerate away from us and hundreds of millions of people are on the move and war starts. So I think the answer to your question is change to global governance like this requires a crisis to occur. And then there's a quote from Milton Friedman who says, what we do on a crisis depends on the plans that are lying around at the time. So UN Parliamentary Assembly campaign, there's a plan that is lying around. As this catalyst for environment wraps up, there is a way we could get all of these different political systems to sit down and talk to each other. And fundamentally, all of us, humanity, have a common interest in looking after our planetary home better. Does that answer your question?
Sure, it does. Thank you very much.
Happy to take any other questions anyone may have. I see Matteo has a hand up.
So thank you so much for your wonderful talk. My question to you was, how did you get into doing this work? And like, how did you know you were passionate about it?
That's a really good question. So I haven't been doing this for very long. I've been doing this for 5 years altogether. So my children were getting older. They've all gone off to university now. Last one's just started at university in the UK. And so I was wondering what to do next with my life. And I was free to do what I wanted to do. And my biggest concern is I don't believe collectively we're looking after our planetary home. And I think we're taking very big risks with the future of human civilization. I genuinely believe that. And I thought about why would we be doing that? Because it's so obviously a stupid thing to do. And it struck me as about how we structure global politics. And so I went to university myself as a very mature student, and I did a master's in global politics because I had no background in politics at all. So I did that about 5 years ago. Did that part-time for a couple of years. And then for the last 3 years, I've been doing what I do now. So in my master's in global politics, I was introduced to Andreas Bummel, who founded Democracy Without Borders and founded the UNPA campaign, which is coming up for its 15th anniversary. And I liked his ideas, and I asked him what I could do to help. And he said, join me and help advocate this campaign, bring it to the UK, and come and work with me. So I've been doing that for the last 3 years. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I suppose an element to that, I mean, some of my friends, I used to work in finance, and some of my finance friends sort of had the attitude that things will work out in the end. And I don't believe that's true. If I thought everything would work out okay in the end, I'd go and do something else, go and, have fun some other way. Other people on the environment side can be very depressed and pessimistic about the future and say, well, it's too late and it's all going to be terrible, whatever we do. And I don't believe that either. So I really think we're at an inflection point where there's everything to play for. It's perfectly possible. It's the concept of world federation is incredibly simple. It's take federations like the US or Russia or Ethiopia or Germany. They're all federal countries. Almost all large countries apart from China are federal. Just take the federal structure and have it at the global level, and let's have some global governance where we make decisions for humanity. And then all the different political systems underneath can continue as they are, operating at the national level. So it's a very simple idea. It's perfectly plausible. And I think it's achievable. And I think if we don't make an effort, we may mess it up and have a catastrophe. So that is why I do what I do. And I must say, having worked, my two main sort of jobs I've had before, I worked in the military and I worked in finance. So I don't have quite as left-wing and progressive a background as many people I work with. And of all of those jobs, this is the one I'm definitely most passionate about.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. If you can please drop your email in the chat, if anyone has any further questions, you can contact him through the email.
Sure. I'll
Thank
do
you
that.
so much for your great speech. Thank you so much for coming here and inspiring us on such an important subject.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation to join you. And thank you very much for having an audience of people to inspire, because it's going to take all of us to make this happen. So thank you very much and get active.
Okay. We will now, just a second. We will now continue with the awards. We will have the UNHCR chairs. Where are you?
Here.
Great.
Here.
Are you ready to show the awards?
Yes.
Okay.
First, for honorable mention, we have Rwanda, Andrea Villalpando, and Niger, Lucrecia Rima.
Great.
Then, for most outstanding delegate, we have Ivory Coast, Valerie Vanegas.
Woo!
And finally, for best delegate, the Central African Republic, Kiara.
Would you like to say a few words?
Well, I won't be long. I'll just say that it was the best committee I've chaired so far. And although it was a small committee, everybody got involved and spoke a lot and proposed points and motions. And it was truly wonderful to see people so enthusiastic about MUN conferences. And it was great. It was an awesome experience.
Okay. Dice chairs. Where are you at? Okay. Let's go for it.
All right, so the honorable mentions are Myanmar, which is Krista Demchev, and Germany, which is Lena Koslova. And the next award is
Most outstanding. was Egypt, David Ortiz. Really good job.
And finally, the best delegate is China, Victor Virgil. It was an amazing, what do you call it, community session. The whole crisis was on fire and everybody performed very amazingly, even if it was just for the first time. So yeah, there is that.
Okay.
Congratulations, delegates.
IPC.
Hi, my name is Montserrat McCoy, and along with Victor and Lavanya, who couldn't attend, we chaired the International Press Corps. And so we will go ahead and present the awards. This was a really interesting committee. We were really satisfied. We only had 2 delegates, yet what they brought to the table was extremely well done, and it definitely showed the creative side, which was something we were aiming to do within IPC. And so the most outstanding delegate goes to the Islamic Republic News Agency, Mateo Felix. And the best delegate goes to Xinhua News Agency, who was Amir Kashani. Congratulations to you both.
Congratulations,
So as a
delegates.
side note, I would like to say that the IPC members, although there were a very relatively small number, they had a pretty big role in this conference. They served as crisis people, as IPC members, and I think they deserve, all of the members from the IPC, they all deserve a great applause for the effort and creativity they put into this conference, because I think they made this conference a lot much more fun and creative, as much more than we planned. So congratulations to all.
Woo. Okay. So, the last speech of the conference. I will not make it long because I know how most of you must be tired. Some of us are in very inconvenient time zones. I just want to say how amazing this conference has been. Literally amazing. Every committee that I join into just to observe, I really enjoyed to see how you guys did such an amazing job. And for us, really, IOMUN was never only the debate, it was also having fun. And I hope you had fun with all the crazy crises we dropped on you, whether it was the deadly disease that we had in the refugees camps, or accusing China of trying to have a nuclear weapon. It was really a crazy time. A special thanks really goes to all of the delegates that came here, debated, really did their best during this conference, to our chairs, our amazing chairs that gave them their all, literally from writing study guides and to making sure that the subjects were interesting, and to just being here explaining the rules to you, overseeing the procedures. Really thank you guys for all the work you did. And for my amazing secretariats, I couldn't have done the job without you guys. I cannot even dream about doing it. Being a secretary general wasn't a position I thought I will never be in. I thought of it as someone who has a lot of responsibility, and when I got it, I realized that's exactly what it is. But having Daniel and Anna now guide me through it, and having all of my amazing secretaries here to help me through it, is a special thanks goes out to the marketing team. You guys have been totally amazing during this conference. I couldn't have done it without you guys, without knowing I have you to trust on, without me needing to monitor you all the time. Jenny, Anna, Alonso, especially Alonso, you guys made my job so much easier, and you made it so much more fun. I really hope all of you had fun today. I really hope you all learned to love IOMUN as much as we all do. And I really, really hope to see you all in future conferences. Okay, so now for our Illneo meme award, we have some runner-ups. Of course, we had an amazing crisis actor, our APC chair. And we had China completely ignoring the fact that South China Sea is an international waters. And now the winner, created by our very own Anna.
Woo, thanks. Yeah, thank you. I think I made them all actually. They're all mine.
Yeah, they are. You weren't submitting. What am I supposed to do? China, do you have anything to say in defense to this meme?
No, nothing.
Okay. So we really, really hope you had a lot of fun, and we hope to see you in IOMUN 10, which is currently in the walk-in. We will drop the date soon on our Instagram. You are welcome to stay on and chat. You are welcome to go and live your life, but hope to see you all soon.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Do you want us to stay,
I've got
Michal?
How improvised was that?
That was great,
That's
Bestie.
not,
You did
yeah, that's
awesome.
not
Great.
improvise. And I'm sorry I messed up the awards for the IPC, so Mateo was supposed to win that last time.
worry
I already
about it.
told-
Don't worry, it's all right. We've all been
I
there.
told Amir about it.
It's-
He said,
It's just funny. We're still live.
Oh,
Ah, it's fine. What I've been doing this.
It's okay.